Om Shri Sai Ram. Welcome all to day 6 of Shri Sai Satcharita Reading. We shall begin with our opening prayers. Om Bhurvasuvah Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sarah?
Sairam, Mrs. Radhabai Deshmukh. There was an old woman by name of Radhabai. She was the mother of one Kashaba Deshmukh. Hearing Baba's fame, she came to Shirdi with the people of Sangamna. She took Baba's darshan and was much satisfied. She loved Baba intimately and resolved in her mind that she should accept Baba as her guru and take some upadesh from him. She knew nothing else. She determined to fast herself unto death so long as Baba did not accept her and give her any upadesh or mantra. She stayed in her lodging and left off taking any food or water for 3 days. I was frightened by this ordeal of the old woman and interceded with Baba on her behalf. I said, Deva, what is this you have started? You drag so many persons here. You know that old lady. She is very obstinate and depends on you entirely. She has resolved to fast unto death. If you don't accept and instruct her, if anything worsen happens, people will blame you and say that Baba did not instruct her, and consequently she met her death. So take some mercy on her, bless her, and instruct her. On seeing her determination, Baba sent for her, changed the turn of her mind by addressing her as follows. O mother, why are you subjecting yourself to unnecessary tortures and hastening your death? You are really my mother, and I am your child. Take pity on me and hear me through. I tell you my own story, which, if you listen carefully, will do you good. I had a guru. I was a great saint and most he was a great saint and most merciful. I served him long, very long. Still, he would not blow any mantra into my ears. I had a keen desire never to leave him, but to stay with and serve him, and at all costs receive some instructions from him. But he had his own way. He first got my head shaved and asked me 2 pies as dakshina. I gave the same at once. If you say that as my guru was perfect, why should he ask for money and how should he be called desireless? I replied plainly that he never cared for coins. What had he to do with them? His 2 pies were 1, firm faith, and 2, patience or perseverance. I gave these 2 pies or things to him, and he was pleased. I resorted to my guru for 12 years. He brought me up. There was no dearth of food and clothing. He was full of love, nay, he was love incarnate. How can I describe it? He loved me most. Rare is a guru like him. When I looked at him, he seemed as if he was in deep meditation. And then we both were filled with bliss. Night and day I gazed at him with no thought of hunger and thirst. Without him, I felt restless. I had no other object to meditate, nor any other thing than my guru to attend. He was my sole refuge. My mind was always fixed on him. This is 1 pies dakshina. Saburi, patience or perseverance, is the other pies. I waited patiently and very long on my guru and served him. This saburi will ferry you across the sea of this mundane existence. Saburi is manliness in man. It removes all sins and afflictions, gets rid of calamities in various ways, and casts aside all fear and ultimately gives you success. Saburi is the mine of virtues, consort of good thought. Nishta, faith, and Saburi, patience, are like twin sisters, loving each other very intimately. My guru never expected any other thing from me. He never neglected me, but protected me at all times. I lived with him and was sometimes away from him. Still, I never felt the want or absence of his love. He always protected me by his glance, just as the tortoise feeds her young ones. Whether they are near her or away from her, on the other side of the river bank, by her loving looks. Oh, mother, my guru never taught me any mantra. Then how shall I blow any mantra in your ears? Just remember that guru's tortoise-like loving glance gives us happiness. Do not try to get mantra or upadesh from anybody. Make me the sole object of your thoughts and actions, and you will, no doubt, attain paramartha, the spiritual goal of life. Look at me wholeheartedly, and I, in turn, look at you similarly. Sitting in this masjid, I speak the truth, nothing but the truth. No sadhanas, no proficiency in the six shastras are necessary. Have faith and confidence in your guru. Believe fully that guru is the sole actor or doer. Blessed is he who knows the greatness of his guru and thinks him to be Hari, Hara, and Brahma, Trimurti incarnate. Instructed in this way, the old lady was convinced. She bowed to Baba and gave up her fast. Hearing this story carefully and attentively, and marking its significance and appropriateness, Hemat Band was most agreeably surprised. Seeing this wonderful Leela of Baba, he was moved from top to toe. He was overflowing with joy. His throat was choked, and he was not able to utter a single word. Shama, on seeing him in this condition, asked him, "What is the matter with you? Why are you silent? How many innumerable Leelas of Baba shall I describe?" Just at that time, the bell in the masjid began to ring, proclaiming that the noon worship and arti ceremony had begun. Therefore, Shama and Hemat Band hurried to the masjid. Babu Saheb Jog had just started the worship. Women were Women were up in the masjid and men were standing below in the open courtyard, and they were all loudly singing the arti in chorus to the accompaniment of drums. Shama went up, pulling Hemat Band with him. He sat to the right and Hemat Band in front of Baba. On seeing him, Baba asked Hemat Band to give the dakshina brought from Shama. He replied that Shama gave namaskaras in lieu of rupees and that he was there in person. Baba said, "All right, now let me know whether you both had a chit chat, and if so, tell me all that you talked about." Not minding the sounds of the bell, the drum, and the chorus songs, Hemat Band was eager to tell what they had talked about and started to narrate it. Baba was also anxious to hear, and so he left the bolster and leaned forward. Hemat Band said all that they talked about was very pleasant, and that especially the story of the old lady was most wonderful, and that on hearing it, he thought that his Leela was inexplicable. And under the guise of that story, he really blessed him. Baba then said, "Wonderful is the story. How were you blessed? I would like to know everything in detail from you, so tell me about it." Then Hemat Band related in full the story which he had heard a little while before and which had made a lasting impression on his mind. Hearing this, Baba was much pleased and asked him, "Did the story strike you and did you catch its significance?" He replied, "Yes, Baba, the restlessness of my mind has vanished, and I have got true peace and rest, and come to know the true path. Then Baba spoke as follows: My method is quite unique. Remember well this one story, and it will be very useful. To get the knowledge, realization of the self, dhyana, meditation is necessary. If you practice continuously, the vrittis, thoughts, will be pacified. Being quite desireless, you should meditate on the Lord who is in all the creatures. And when the mind is concentrated, the goal will be achieved. Meditate always on my formless nature, which is knowledge incarnate in consciousness and bliss. If you cannot do this, meditate on my form from top to toe, as you see here night and day. As you go on doing this, your vrittis will concentrate on one point, and the distinction between dhyata, meditator, dhyana, act of meditation, dheya, this meditated upon, will be lost, and the meditator will be one with the consciousness and be merged in the Brahman. The mother tortoise is on one bank of the river, and her young ones are on the other side. She gives neither milk nor warmth to them. Her mere glance gives them nutrition. The young ones do nothing but remember, meditate upon their mother. The tortoise glances to the young ones a downpour of nectar, the only source of sustenance and happiness. Similar is the relation between the Guru and disciples. When Baba uttered these last words, the chorus of the Arati song stopped and all cried out loudly in one voice, Victory be to our Sadguru Sai Maharaj, who is existence, knowledge, and bliss. Dear readers, let us imagine that we are at this time standing amongst the crowd in the masjid, and let us join them in this Jai Jayaka. After the Arati ceremony was over, Prasad was distributed. Babu Saheb Jog advanced as usual and after saluting Baba, gave into his hands a handful of sugar candy. Baba pushed all this quantity into the hands of Hemant Band and said to him, If you take this story to heart and remember it well, your state will be sweet as the sugar candy. All your desires will be fulfilled and you will be happy. Hemant Band bowed before Baba and implored, Do favor me like this, bless and protect me always. Baba replied, Hear this story, meditate on it, and assimilate its spirit. Then you will always remember and meditate on the Lord, who will manifest himself to you. Dear readers, Hemant Band got prasad of sugar candy. Then we now get the prasad of sugar candy or nectar of this story. Let us drink it to our heart's content, meditate on it and assimilate it, and be strong and happy by Baba's grace. Amen. Towards the end of the 19th chapter, Hemant Band had dealt with some other matters which are given below. Baba's advice regarding our behavior. The following words of Baba are general and invaluable. If they are kept in mind and acted upon, they will always do you good. Unless there is some relationship or connection, nobody goes anywhere. If any men or creatures come to you, do not discourteously drive them away, but receive them well and treat them with due respect. Sri Hari, God, will be certainly pleased. If you give water to the thirsty, bread to the hungry, clothes to the naked, and your veranda to strangers for sitting and resting, if anybody wants any money from you and you are not inclined to give, do not give, but do not bark at him like a dog. Let anybody speak hundreds of things against you. Do not resent by giving any bitter reply. If you always tolerate such things, you will certainly be happy. Let the world go topsy-turvy, you remain where you are. Standing or staying in your own place, look on calmly at the show of all things passing before you. Demolish the wall of difference that separates you from me, and then the road for our meeting will be clear and open. The sense of differentiation as I and thou is the barrier that keeps away the disciple from his master. And unless that is destroyed, the state of union or atonement is not possible. Allah Malik, i.e., God is the sole proprietor, nobody else is our protector. His method of work is extraordinary, invaluable, and inscrutable. His will be done, and he will show us the way and satisfy our heart's desires. It is on account of Rinau former relationship, that we have come together. Let us love and serve each other and be happy. He who attained the supreme goal of life is immortal and happy. All others merely exist, i.e., live so long as they breathe. Encouraging good thoughts of fruition. If it is interesting to note how Sai Baba encouraged good thoughts, you have to surrender yourself completely to him with love and devotion, and there you will see how he helps you off and on in so many things. Some saint has said that when you get a good thought immediately after awakening from sleep, and if you develop the same afterwards during the day, your intellect will be unfolded and your mind will attain calmness. Hemat Band wanted to try this. On one Wednesday night before going to bed, he thought, tomorrow is Thursday, an auspicious day, and the place, namely Shridi, is so holy. So let me pass the whole day in remembering and chanting the Ramanama. And then he slept. Next morning, when he got up, he remembered without any effort the name of Rama and was much pleased. He then, after finishing his morning duties, went to see Baba with flowers. When he left Dixit's Wada and was just passing Booty's Wada, present Samadhi Mandir, he heard a beautiful song that was being sung nicely by one Aurangabadkar in the masjid before Baba. The song was Guru Kripan Jan Payo Mere Bai, etc. by Eknath, in which he says that he got collyrium in the form of Guru's grace, which opened his vision and made him see Rama in and out, in sleep, dream, and walking state, and everywhere. There were so many songs, and why was this song particularly chosen by Aurangabadkar, a devotee of Baba? Is this not a curious coincidence arranged by Baba to feed the determination of Hemat Band to sing unceasingly Ramanama during the day? All saints agree on and lay stress upon the efficacy of uttering Rama's, God's name, in fulfilling the ambitions of bhaktas and in protecting and saving them from all calamities. Variety in Upadesh, slanderer condemned. Sai Baba required no special place nor any special time for giving instructions. Whenever any occasion demanded, he gave them freely. Once it is so happened that a bhakta of Baba reviled another behind his back before other people. On leaving aside merits, he dwelt on the faults of his brother and spoke so sarcastically that the hearers were disgusted. Generally, we see that people have a tendency to scandalize other people unnecessarily, and this brings on hatred and ill will. Saints see scandal in another light. They say that there are various ways of cleansing or removing dirt, namely by means of earth, water, and soap, etc. But a scandal monger has got a way of his own. He removes the dirt, faults of others by his tongue. So, in a way of obliges the person whom he reviles, and for this he is to be thanked. Sai Baba had his own method of correcting the scandal monger. He knew by his omniscience what the slanderer had done, and when he met him at noon near the Lendi, Baba pointed out to him a pig that was eating filth near the fence and said to him, "Behold how, with what relish it is gorging dung. Your conduct is similar. You go on reviling your own brethren to your heart's content. After performing many deeds of merit, you are born a man. And if you act like this, will Shruti help you in any way? Needless to say that Bhakta took the lesson to his heart and went away. In this way, Baba went on giving instructions whenever necessary. If these are born in our minds and acted upon, the spiritual goal, realization, is not far off. There is a proverb which says, if there be my Harry, Lord, he will feed me on my cot. This proverb is only true in respect of food and clothing. But if anyone trusting in this sits quiet and does nothing in spiritual matters, he will be ruined. One has to exert himself to his utmost for attaining self-realization. The more he endeavors, the better for him. Baba said that he was omnipresent, occupying land, air, country, world, light, and heaven, and that he was not limited. To remove the misunderstanding of those who thought that Baba was only his body, 3 cubits and half in length, he incarnated himself in this form. And if any devotee meditated on him day and night with complete self-surrender, he experienced complete union without any difference. With him, like sweetness and sugar, waves and sea, eyes and lust and its luster, he who wants to get rid of the cycle of births and deaths should lead a righteous life with his mind calm and composed. He should always engage himself in good actions, should do his duties and surrender himself, heart and soul to him. He need not then be afraid of anything. He who trusts him entirely, hears and expounds his leelas and does not think of anything else, is sure to attain self-realization. Baba asked many to remember his name and to surrender to him, but to those who wanted to know who they were, who am I inquiry, he advised Shranavam, study, and Mananam, meditation. To some, he advised remembering God's name, to others, hearing his leelas, to some, worship of his feet, to others, reading and studying Adhyatma Ramayana. Jnaneshwari, and other sacred scriptures. Some he made sit near his feet, some he sent to Khandoba's temple, and some he advised the repetition of 1,000 names of Vishnu, and some the study of Shahanda Yoga Upanishad and Gita. There were no limit, no restriction to his instructions. To some he gave them in person, to others by visions and dreams. To one addicted to drink, he appeared in his dream, sat on his chest, pressed it and left him after he gave a promise not to touch liquor anymore. To some he explained some mantras like Guru Brahma in dreams. To some devotee who was practicing Hatha Yoga, he sent word that he should leave off Hatha Yoga practices, sit quiet and wait, Saburi. It is impossible to describe all his ways and method. In ordinary worldly dealings, he set examples by his actions, one of which is given below. Remuneration for labor. One day at noon, Baba came near Radha Krishna Mai's house and said, "Bring me a ladder." Some men brought it and set it against a house as directed by Baba. He climbed up on the roof of Vaman Gondakar's house, past the roof of Radha Krishna Mai's house, and then got down from the other corner. What object Baba had, none could know. Radha Krishna Mai was at that time shivering with malaria. It may be to drive off that fever that he may have gone there. Immediately after getting down, Baba paid rupees 2 to the persons who brought the ladder. Somebody asked Baba why he paid so much for this. He replied that nobody should take the labor of others in vain. The worker should be paid his duties promptly and liberally. Bow to Sri Sai, peace to be all. Chapter 20. Dasganu's problem solved by Kaka's maidservant. In this chapter, Hemat Band describes how Dasganu's problem was solved by Kaka Saheb Dixit maidservant. Preliminary, Sai, Lord, was originally formless. He assumed a form for the sake of bhaktas. With the help of the actress Maya, he played the part of the actor in the big drama of the universe. Let us remember and visualize Sri Sai. Let us go to Shirdi and see carefully the programs after the noon Arati. After the Arati ceremony was over, Sai used to come out of masjid and standing on its edge, distribute udi to the devotees with very kind and loving looks. The bhaktas also got up with equal fervor, clasped his feet, and standing and staring at him, enjoyed the shower of udi. Baba passed handfuls of udi into the palms of the devotees and marked their foreheads with udi with his fingers. The love he bore for them in his heart was boundless. Then he addressed the bhaktas as follows: "O Bau, go to take your lunch. Yo Anna, go to your lodgings. You Bapu, enjoy your dishes." In this way, he accosted each and every devotee and sent them home. Even now, you can enjoy these sights if you bring into play your imagination. You can visualize and enjoy them. Before our mental vision, let us meditate on him from his feet upwards to his face, and prostrating before him humbly, lovingly, and respectfully, revert to the story of this chapter. Ishavasya Upanishad. Das Gannu once started to write a Marathi commentary on the Ishavasya Upanishad. Let us first give a brief idea of this Upanishad before proceeding further. It is called a Mantropanishad, as it is embodied in the mantras of the Vedic Samhita. It constitutes the last or the 40th chapter of the Vajrayana Samhita, Yajurveda, and it is therefore called Vajrayana Samhitonipashad. Being embodied in Vedic Samhitas, this is regarded as a superior to all the other Upanishads, which occur in the Brahmanas and Aranyakas, explanatory treatises on mantras and rituals. Not only this, other Upanishads are considered to be commentaries on the truths mentioned briefly in the Ishavasya Upanishad. For instance, the biggest of the Upanishads, namely the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, is considered by Pandit Satwalekar to be a running commentary on the Ishavasya Upanishad. Professor R.D. Ranade said, "The Ishopanishad is quite a small Upanishad, and yet it contains many hints which show an extraordinarily piercing insight. Within the short compass of 18 verses, it gives a valuable mystical description of the Atman, a description of the ideal sage who stands unruffled in the minds of temptation and sorrows, and adumbration of the doctrine of the Karma Yoga as latter formulated, and finally a reconciliation of the claims of knowledge and works. The most valuable ideas that lies at the root of the Upanishad is that of a logical synthesis between the two opposites of knowledge and work, which are both required according to the Upanishad to be annulled in a higher synthesis." Page 24 of the Constructive Survey of Upanishad Philosophy. In another place, he says that the poetry of the Ishopanishad is a commixture of moral, mystical, and metaphysical. I bid page 41. From the brief description given above about this Upanishad, anyone can see how difficult it is to translate this Upanishad in a vernacular language and brief out its exact meaning. Das Ganu translated in Marathi ovimeter, verse by verse, but as he did not comprehend the gist of essence of the Upanishad, he was not satisfied with his performance. He therefore consulted some learned men regarding his doubts and difficulties and discussed with them a great length. They did not solve them, nor did they give him any rational and satisfactory explanations. So Das Ganu was a little restless over this matter.
Thank you, Sister Vani. We will now have Sister Ratna continue.
Om Sai Ram. Sadguru only competent and qualified to explain. As we have seen, this Upanishad is the quintessence of the Vedas. It is the science of self-realization. It is the sight of weapon which can rend asunder the bondage of life and death and make us free. Therefore, he thought that he who has himself attained self-realization, can only give the true or correct interpretation of the Upanishad. When nobody could satisfy Das Guru, he resolved to consult Sai Baba about this. When he got an opportunity to go to Shirdi, he saw Sai Baba prostrated himself before him and mentioned his difficulties about the Ishavasya Upanishad and requested him to give the correct solution. Sai Baba blessed him and said, "You need not be anxious. There is no difficulty about the matter. The mind servant of Kaka Sahib Dikshit, will solve your doubts at Valpali on your way home." The people who weren't present then and heard this thought that Baba was joking and said, "How could an illiterate maidservant solve the difficulties of this nature?" But Das Guru thought otherwise. He was sure that whatever Baba spoke must come true. Baba's word was the decree of Brahma Almighty. Kaka's maidservant. On fully believing in Baba's words, he left Shirdi and came to Vaipali, a suburb of Bombay, and stayed with Kaka Sahib Dikshit. There the next day, when Das Guru was enjoying his morning nap, some say when he was engaged in worship, he heard a poor girl singing a beautiful song in clear and melodious tones. The subject matter of the song was a crimson-colored sari. How nice it was, how fine was the embroidery, how beautiful were its ends and borders, etc. He liked the song so much that he came out and saw it was being sung by a young girl, the sister of Namya, who was a servant of Kaka Sahib. The girl was cleaning vessels and had only a torn rug on her person. On seeing her impoverished condition and her jovial temperament, Das Guru felt pity for her, and when Rao Bahadur M.B. Pradhan next day gave him a pair of daughters, he requested him to give a sari to the poor little girl also. Rao Bahadur bought a good childi, a small sari, and presented it to her. Like a starving person getting luckily good dishes to eat, her joy knew no bounds. Next day, she wore the new sari, and out of great joy and merriment, world danced around and played fugadi with other girls and excelled them all. The day following, she kept the new sari in her box at home and came with the old rug and torn rags. But she looked as merry as she did the previous day. On seeing this, Das Guru's pity was transferred into admiration. He thought that the girl, being poor, had to wear a torn rug, but now she had a new sari, which she kept in reserve, and putting on the old rug, strutted herself, showing no trace of sorrow or dejection. Thus he realized that all our feelings of pain and pleasure depend upon the attitude of our mind. On thinking deeply over this incident, he realized that a man ought to enjoy whatever God has bestowed on him in the firm conviction that he besets everything from behind and before and on all sides, and that whatever is bestowed on him by God must be for his good. In this particular case, the improvised condition of the poor girl, her torn rag, and the new sari, the donor, the dance, and the acceptance were all parts of the Lord's and pervaded by him. Hence, Das Guru got a practical demonstration of the lessons of the Upanishad, the lesson of contentment with one's own lot, in the belief that whatever happens is ordained by God and is ultimately good for us. Unique method of teaching. From the above incident, the reader will see that Baba's method was unique and varied. Though Baba never left Shirdi, he sent some to Machindragarh, some to Kolhapur, Solapur for practicing sadhanas. To some he appeared in his usual form, to some he appeared in waking or dreaming state, day and night satisfied their desires. It is impossible to describe all the methods that Baba used in imparting instructions to his bhaktas. In this particular case, he sent Das Guru to Vaipali, where he got his problem solved through the maidservant. To those who say it was not necessary to send Das Guru outside and that Baba could have personally taught him, we say that Baba followed the right or best course, or how else could Das Guru have learned a great lesson, that the poor maidservant and her sari were pervaded by the Lord. Now we close the chapter with another beautiful extract about this Upanishad, the ethics of the Ishavasya Upanishad. One of the main features of the Ishavasya Upanishad is the ethical advice it offers. And it is interesting to know that the ethics of the Upanishad are definitely based upon the metaphysical position advanced in it. The very opening words of the Upanishad tells us that God pervades everything. As a corollary from this metaphysical position, the ethical advice it offers is that a man ought to enjoy whatever God bestows on him in the firm belief that as he pervades everything, whatever is bestowed on him by God must be good. It follows naturally that the Upanishad should forbid us by coveting another man's property. In fact, we are fittingly taught here a lesson of contentment with one's own lot in the belief that whatever happens, it is divinely ordained and it is hence good for us. Another moral advice is that man must spend his lifetime always in doing actions, especially the karmas enjoined in the Shastras, in a good of believing resignation to his will. Inactivity, according to the Upanishad, should be the canker of the soul. It is only when a man spends his lifetime on doing actions in this manner that he can hope to attain the ideal of Naishkarmya. Finally, the text goes on to say that a man who sees all beings in the self and sees the self as existing in all beings, in fact, for whom all beings and everything that exists have become the self, how can such a man suffer infatuation? What ground would such a man have for grief? Willfulness, infatuation, and grief verily proceed from our not being able to see the Atman in all beings. But a man who realizes the oneness of all things, for whom everything has become the self, must ipso facto cease to be affected by the common foibles of humanity. Page 169 to 170 of the creative periods of Mrs. Belvakar and Ranade. Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all. Chapter 21. Stories of V.H. Thakur, Ananta Rao Patankar, and Pandapur Bleeder. In this chapter, Emanpad relates the stories of Vinayak, Harishchandra, Thakur, B.A. Ananta Rao Patankar of Pune, and the pleader of Pandapur. All these stories are very interesting, which, if very carefully read and grasped, will lead the readers onto the spiritual path. Preliminary. It is a general rule that it is our good luck in the form of accumulation of merits and power that enables us to seek the company of saints and profit thereby. In illustration of this rule, Hemanpal gives his own instance. He was a resident magistrate of Bandra, a suburb of Bombay, for many years. A famous Mahomedan saint named Pir Maulana was living there, and many Hindus, Parsis, and many others who followed different religions used to go to him and take his darshan. His Mujawar priest by name Anas pressed Hemanpal many a time, night and day, for going to see him. But for some reason or other, he was not able to see him. After many years, his turn came and he was called to Shirdi, where he was permanently enlisted in Sai Baba Darbar. Unfortunate fellows do not get this contact of the saints. It is only the fortunate ones that get it. Institution of saints. There has been institution of saints in this world from time immemorial. Various saints appear incarnate by themselves in various places to carry out the missions allotted to them. Thus, though they work in different places, they are, as it were, one. They work in unison under the common authority of the Almighty Lord and know full well that each of them is doing in his place and supplement his work when necessary. An instance illustrating this is given below. Mr. V.H. Thakur, B.A., was a clerk in the revenue department, and he once came to a town named Vadgaon near Belgaum, SM country, along with his service party. There he saw a Karanese saint, Appa, and bowed before him. The saint was explaining a portion from the book Vichar Sagar of Nischal Das, a standard work of Vedanta, to the audience. When Thakur was taking his leave to go, he said to him, "You should study this book, and if you do so, your desires will be fulfilled, and When you go to the north in the discharge of your duties in future, you'll come across a great saint by your good luck, and then he'll show you the future path and give rest to your mind and make you happy. Then he was transferred to Janar, where he had to go by crossing in Hanhe Ghat. This ghat was very steep and impassable, and no other convenience than a buffalo was of use in crossing it. So he had to take the buffalo ride through the ghat, which inconvenienced and pained him much. Thereafter, he was transferred to Kalyan on higher post, and there he became acquainted with Nana Sahib Chandorkar. He heard much about Sai Baba from him and wished to see him. Next day, Nana Sahib had to go to Shirdi, and he asked Thakur to accompany him. He could not do so as he had to attend the Tawa civil court for a civil case. So Nana Sahib went alone. Thakur went to Thana, and then the case was postponed. Then he repented for not accompanying Nana Sahib. Still, he left for Shirdi, and when he went there, he found that Nana Sahib had left the place the previous day. Some of his other friends whom he met there took to Baba. He saw Baba, fell at his feet, and was overjoyed. His eyes were full of tears of joy, and his hair stood on end. Then, after a while, the omniscient Baba said to him, "The path of this place is not so easy as the teaching of the Karnaris Saint Appa, or even as the buffalo ride in the Hananhi Ghat. In this spiritual path, you have to put in your best exertion, as it is very difficult." When Thakur heard these significant signs and words, which no one else knew than he knew, he was overwhelmed with joy. He came to know that the word of the Karanese saint has turned true. Then, joining both and placing his head on Baba's feet, he prayed that he should be accepted and blessed. Then Baba said, "What Appa told you was all right, but this thing had to be practiced and lived. Mere reading won't do. You have to think and carry out what you read, otherwise it is of no use. Mere book learning without the grace of the Guru and self-realization is of no avail." The theoretical portion was read from the work Vichar Sagar by Thakur, but the practical way was shown to him at Shirdi. Another story given below will bring out this truth more forcibly. Anantarao Patankar. One gentleman from Pune by name of Anantarao Patankar wished to see Baba. He came to Shirdi and took Baba's darshan. His eyes were appeased. He was much pleased. He felt at Baba's feet, and after performing proper worship, said to Baba, "Have read a lot, studied Vedas, Vedants, and Upanishad, and heard all the Purnas, and still I have not got any peace of mind. So I think that all my reading was useless. Simple, ignorant, devout person are better than myself. Unless the mind becomes calm, all book learning is of no avail. I've heard from many people that you easily give peace of mind to so many by your mere glance and playful words. I have come here, please take pity on me and bless me." Then Baba told him a parable which was as follows: parable of 9 bowls of stool, Nana Vida Bhakti. Once a Saudagar merchant came here. Before him, a mare passed a stool, 9 bowls of stool. The merchant, intent on his quest, spread the end of his daughter and gathered all the 9 bowls in it, and thus he got concentration, peace of mind. Mr. Patankar could not make out the meaning of this story. So he asked Ganesh Damodar, alias Dada Kelkar, "What does Baba mean by this?" He replied, I too do not know all that Baba says and means, but at his inspiration I say what I come to know. The mare is God's grace, and the 9 bowls excreted are the 9 forms of types of bhakti. Shravana, hearing; Kirtana, praying; Smarana, remembering; Padasevana, resorting to the feet; Archana, worship; Namaskara, bowing; Dasya, service; Sakyadvya, friendship; Atma Nivedana, surrender of the self. These are 9 types of bhakti. If any of these is faithfully followed, Lord Hari will be pleased and manifest himself in the home of the devotee. All the sadhanas whereas japa, vocal worship, tapa, penance, yoga practice, and studying the scriptures and expounding them are quite useless unless they are accompanied by bhakti, devotion, knowledge of the Vedas, or fame as a great jnani, and mere formal bhajan worship are of no avail. What is wanted is loving devotion. Consider yourself as the merchant or seeker after the truth. Be anxious and eager like him to collect or cultivate the 9 types of devotion. Then you will attain stability and peace of mind. Next day, when Pantalankar went to Baba for salutation, he was asked whether he collected the 9 balls of stool. Then he said that he, being a poor fellow, should first be graced by Baba and then they will be easily collected. Then Baba blessed and comforted him, saying that he would attain peace and welfare. After hearing this, Patankar became overjoyed and happy. The Pandapur pleader. We shall close this chapter with short stories showing Baba's omniscience and is using it for correcting people, for setting them on the right path. Once a pleader from Pandapur came to Shirdi, went to the masjid, saw Sai Baba, fell at his feet, and without being asked, offered some dakshina, and sat in a corner, eager to hear the talk that was going on. Then Baba turned his face towards him and said, "How cunning the people are. They fall at the feet, offer dakshina, but inwardly give abuses behind the back. Is not this wonderful?" This cap remark fitted the pleader, and he had to wear, "Take it." None understood the remark. The pleader grasped it, but kept silent. When they returned to the water, the pleader said to Kahasahib Dikshit, "What Baba remarked was perfectly right. The dark remark was a dame at me. It was a hint to me that I should not indulge in reviling or scandalizing others, calling by names." When the sub-judge or Manshif of Pandharpur, Mr. Nukar, came and stayed here for the improvement of his health, a discussion about this matter was going in the bar room at Pandharpur, as it ever happens in many a bar room. It was said or discussed there whether the ailments from which the sub-judge suffered were ever likely to be got rid of without medicines, by merely going after Sai Baba, and whether it was proper for an uneducated man like the sub-judge to have recourse to such methods. So the sub-judge was taken to task. Example, he was criticized also Sai Baba. I also took some part in this affair, and now Sai Baba showed the impropriety of my conduct. This is not a rebuke to me, but in favor and advice that I should not indulge in any scandal or slander of others, and not interfere unnecessarily in others' affairs. She is about 100 kos. Kos is equal to 3 miles distance from Pandharpur. Still, Baba, by his omniscience, knew what transpired there in the ballroom. The intervening places, rivers, jungles, mountains, were not a bar to his all-perceiving sights, and he could see or read the hearts of all. There was nothing secret or veiled from him. Everything far or near was plain and clear to him, as broad as daylight. Let a man be far or near, he cannot avoid the all-pervading gaze of Sai Baba. From this incident, the pleader took the lesson that he should never speak ill of others, nor unnecessarily criticize them. This, his evil tendency, was completely got rid of, and he was set on the right path. Though the story refers to the pleader, still it is applicable to all. All should therefore take the lessons to heart and profit thereby. Sai Baba's greatness is unfathomable, so his wonderful leelas. His life is also such, for he is Parabrahman, Lord God incarnate. Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all. Sai Satcharita, Chapter 22. Rescues from separate binds, Bala Saheb Mirikar, Bapu Saheb Bhuti, Amir Sakar, Hemant Pan, Baba's opinion regarding killing of serpents. Preliminary. How to meditate on Baba. No one has been able to fathom the nature or the form of the Almighty. Even the Vedas and the 1,000-tongued Sesha are not able to describe it fully. But the devotees cannot but know and look at the form of the Lord, for they know that at his feet are the only means of their happiness. They know no other method of attaining the supreme goal of life except meditating on the holy feet. Imad Path suggests an easy way of devotion and meditation as follows. As the dark fortnight of every month wears out gradually, the moonlight also wanes in the same degree. And on the new moon day, we do not see the moon at all, nor do we get her light. Therefore, when the bright fortnight begins, people are very anxious to see the moon. On the first day, the moon is not seen, and on the second day, also, she is not clearly visible. Then the people are asked to see the moon through an opening between the two branches of a tree. And when they begin to see through the aperture eagerly and after concentratedly, the distant small crescent of the moon comes to their great delight with their ken. Following this clue, let us try to see Baba's light. Look at Baba's posture, how fine it is. He's sitting with legs folded, the right leg held across the left knee. The fingers of his left hand are spread on the right foot. On the right toe are spread his two fingers, the index and middle one. By this posture, Baba means to say that it is as it were, if you want to see my light, be egoless and most humble and meditate on my toe through the opening between the two branches, index and middle fingers, and then you will be able to see my light. This is the easiest means of attaining devotion. Now let us turn for a moment to Baba's life. Shirdi had become a place of pilgrimage on account of Baba's stay. People from all quarters began to flock there, and both the rich and the poor began to be benefited in most ways than one and in some form or other. Who can describe Baba's boundless love and his wonderful natural knowledge and his all-pervasiveness? Blessed is he who could experience one and all of this. Sometimes Baba observed long silence, which was in a way his dissertation on Brahman. At other time, he was consciousness, bliss incarnate, surrounded by his devotees. Sometimes he spoke in parables, and at other time indulged in wit and humor. At times he was quite unambiguous, clear, and at times he seemed enraged. Sometimes he gave his teachings in a nutshell. At other time he argued at length. Many a time he was very plain. In this way, he gave varied instructions to many according to their requirements. His life was therefore inscrutable, beyond the ken of our mind, beyond our intellect and speech. Our longing to see his face, to talk with him and hear his leelas was never satisfied. Still, we were overflowing with joy. We can count the showers of rain and cycle time, the wind in a leather bag, but who can gauge or measure his leelas? Now we deal here with one aspect of them, ways how he anticipated or forestalled the calamities of his devotees and warded them off in time. Bala Sahib Mirikar. Bala Sahib Mirikar, son of Sardar Kaka Sahib Mirikar, was Malamdar of copper gown. He was going on tour to Chitali. On the way, he came to Shirdi to see Sai Baba. When he went to the masjid and prostrated himself before Baba, usually conversation regarding health and other matters commenced when Baba sounded a note of warning as follows. Do you know our Dwarka Mai? As Baba Sahib did not understand, he kept quiet. Baba continued, this is our Dwarka Mai where you're sitting. She wards off all dangers and anxieties of the children who sit on her lap. This Masjid Mai, its presiding deity, is very merciful. She is the mother of the simple devotees whom she will save in calamities. Once a person sits on her lap, all his troubles are over. He who rests in her sledge gets blessed. Then Baba gave him Udi and placed his protecting hand on his head. When Bala Sahib was about to depart, he said again, do you know the Lamba Baba, long gentleman, with serpent? And then closing the left arm like fist, he brought it near the right elbow and moving his left arm like the hood of a serpent, he said, he's so terrible. What can he do to the children in Dwarkamai? When the Dwarkamai, its presiding deity, protects, what can the serpent do? All who were present there were curious to know the meaning of all this and its reference to miracle, but none had the courage to ask Baba about it. Then Bala Sahib saluted Baba and left the masjid with Shama. Baba called Shama back and asked him to accompany Bala Sahib and enjoy the Chitali trip. Shama came to Bala Sahib and told him that he would go with him according to Baba's wish. Bala Sahib replied that he did not come as it would be inconvenient. Sharma returned to Baba and told him that what Bala Sahib said to him. Baba said, "All right, do not go. We should mean well and do well. Whatever is destined to happen will happen." In the meantime, Bala Sahib thought over again and calling Sharma asked him to accompany him. Then Sharma going again to Baba and taking his leave started with Bala Sahib in the Thanga. We reached Delhi at 9 p.m. and encamped in the Maruti temple. The office people had not come, so they sat quiet in the temple, talking and chit-chatting. Bala Sahib was sitting on a mat reading a newspaper. His Uparani, upper daughter, was spread across his waist, and on a part of it, a snake was sitting unobserved. It began to move with a rustling sound which was heard by the peon. He brought a lantern, saw the snake, and raised an alarm. "Serpent, serpent!" Bala Sahib was frightened and began to quiver. Shama was also amazed. Then he and others moved noiselessly and took sticks and clubs in their hands. The snake got down slowly from the waist and it moved away from Bala Sahib. It was immediately done to death. Thus, this calamity, which was prophesied by Baba, was averted, and Bala Sahib's love for Baba was deeply confirmed. Babu Saheb Bhuti, a great astrologer named Nana Saheb Dangale, told one day Babu Saheb Bhuti, who was then in Shirdi, "Today is an inauspicious day for you. There's danger to your life." This made Babu Sahib restless. When they, as usual, came to masjid, Baba said to Babu Sahib, "What does this Nana say? He foretells death for you. Well, you need not be afraid. Tell him boldly, let us see how death kills." Then later in the evening, Babu Sahib went to his private for easing himself when he saw a snake. His servant saw it and lifted a stone to strike. His servant saw it and lifted a stone to strike at it. Babu Sahib asked him to get a big stick, but before the serpent returned with the stick, the snake was seen moving away and soon disappeared. Babu Sahib remembered with joy Baba's words of fearlessness.
Sairam, thank you, Sister Ratna. As we come to close at 9:30, we will end it with closing prayers. Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samastalokaah Sukhinau Bhavantu. Samastalokaah Sukhinau Bhavantu. Samastalokaah Sukhinau Bhavantu. Om Shri Sai Ram. Thank you, Sister Vani and Sister Ratna, for today. Thank you all for